Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning for our Meet Our Transition Team session, which will provide you with more information about the support on hand for you to make the transition from school to college. Today's session is going to be presented by Alison Acton, Transition Team Leader, Sabaya Hardacre, Head of Student Support, and Adele Robinson, Additional Learning Support Manager. If you've got any questions throughout the session, please feel free to use the Q&A box to the right of your screen and we'll answer them at the end of the session. And with all that said, I will now hand over to Alison, who will start the presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending our virtual college event today, Meet the Transition Team. My name's Alison Acton. I'm part of the Transition Team, and I'm sure many of you will have worked with either myself, Nasmin, Helen or Lloyd over this year. This year's been different to other years. It's looked a bit different, and we found all new ways of learning and doing things differently, but our role is to make sure that your move from school to college is as easy and smooth as possible. I hope with all of this that you're still looking forward to coming to college in September, and if you've got any worries or questions, one of us will be here to help you. Today you'll be able to find out about the different support available inside and outside of the classroom when you come to college in September. You'll hear from Sobia, part of the student experience team, about the offers and the support that's available outside of the classroom, and from Adele, the additional learning support manager, about what help students with educational healthcare plans can get inside of the classroom. But our role is to make sure that you have an enjoyable time as possible when you come to college. At the end of the session, you'll have an opportunity for questions and answers, and I'll also be launching a competition with amazing prizes, so make sure you stay logged on till the end when I tell you a little bit more about it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass you over to Sobia, that'll be able to tell you about the student experience or the support that's available in the college.
Thanks, Alison. Hi everybody, my name's Sobia Hardacre and I'm one of the Head of Student Support, and I'm based at the Northern campus. So I'm going to talk through the offer that we have for student supports across all campuses. So it doesn't matter what campus you'll be attending, you'll be able to access all of these services. So here at the college, we have 3 strands of support for you. So we have student experience support practitioners. So they are based at every campus. They're based mainly on the ground floor, and they're there to support you with any kind of concerns you may have. So whether that be safeguarding, or you're just generally feeling like you need to speak to someone or something's happened, you can go along and speak to one of your student experience support practitioners and they'll be able to help you. They also work with external agencies as well. So if you're working with anybody outside of college, they would be the people who will kind of arrange those meetings, attend those meetings and facilitate anything that they might be able to. Then we've got the mentors. Again, the mentors will be based mainly on the ground floor in the Hive. They're there again to support you, and you'll see them on the corridors, meet and greet, in the canteen. And again, they are there for you to speak to. So if you're worried about anything, your college work, or somebody said something and you're not really sure how to deal with something, speak to a mentor, because they are there to help you. They can kind of guide you, advise you, refer you to the relevant services, and they also provide study sessions, and they are very much solution focused. So they will always try and find you a solution to anything that might be a concern. And then lastly, we have achievement tutors. The best way to describe an achievement tutor is a bit like your form teacher at school at the moment. So you'll see them once a week for a group tutorial, and that will be with the rest of your group. And then you'll also see them for one-to-ones. So they will mainly focus on your progress, your course. Is there anything that you need some help with? Do you need additional workshop sessions with any of your work? Do we need to do a referral to ALS, to the additional learning support team? Is there something that that you don't know what you're doing with an assessment? Can they support you with that? So they are like your, I guess, old school form teacher, and they will be with you for the whole of the year, so that will never change. So again, you have the student experience support practitioners, the mentors and the achievement tutors. So they make up the whole of the student experience team, and we are all here to support you. So you can come and speak to any one of us at any time and come and say if there's anything on your mind. you must come and speak to us, and then we can help you. Oops. So if I just give you a little bit of an overview how the team looks, or what it looks like. Now, this team is actually based at Openshaw. So every campus will have a similar kind of setup. So you have a head of student support. You then have a team leader who deals with primarily safeguarding. We have somebody on the site duty officer. So again, the site duty officers, if you see somebody who shouldn't be on campus or something's happening on campus that you think, oh, is this right? Your site duty officers are there to help. And again, they're always on the corridors, in the canteen, they're on meet and greet. So you will be able to familiarise yourself with the key people at your campuses. Then we've got the student experience support practitioners, and then the achievement tutors, and then lastly the mentors. So that's the makeup for every single campus. The people will be different, but that is what the team looks like. And then lastly, before I hand over to Adele, we have the Hive, and the Hive is a space for you as students. So it's for us to kind of support you, to do enrichment activities. If there's something where you want to just come and speak to somebody, just need some time out, that is what the Hive is there for. So we would like you to thrive at the Hive and at college. So we want to make sure you have the best learning experience here at the Manchester College, and we will do whatever we can to provide that wraparound. So if we look at enrichment, we have guest speakers, competitions, clubs and societies, and themed sports events. They're always advertised across the college, so you'll always see them on notice boards. Your achievement tutors will tell you, your mentors and your tutors. So there's always quite a visible presence for the enrichment. And if you think, oh, actually, this would be really, really good, and I'd like to do this, again, come and speak to us, because I'm not saying we can make everything happen, but I imagine we can make most things happen. So come and speak to us, and then we can arrange that for you. At the Hive, we'll also have workshops on time management, health and well-being, organisation skills, if anxiety, or anything really where it's something that you think this is a barrier and this is stopping me learning. That's what we're there for, so that's what we can help with. We also have student ambassadors, student councils and student reps. Now, being heard as young people is the most important thing. So if you feel like you want to join any one of those, again, speak to your achievement tutor, and they can then complete the process with you and the referral form. If you don't speak to us, then we can't make the changes. So I'm a really big advocate for saying to students, you know, you must come and talk to us, join up to these clubs, join up to the ambassador roles and the student council, because your college experience is yours. So you need to make sure it's the best for you. Now, we have got a session, another session on the 22nd of July, where we will be looking at the Duke of Edinburgh Award, what it entails, the fact that there's no cost attached to it. So the session for that is on the 22nd of July at 4 till 5. So it would be really, really good if you can join into there and see what the offer is for the enrichment. And then lastly, if you click onto the college website, there is the student guide, so you can actually click onto there and read all of the information that I've shared, because it is just a small amount that I've shared with you right now, but you can click onto the student guide and that'll be able to guide you through what we have and look at the bigger offer. So I'm just going to pass you over to Adele, who's going to go through the additional learning support.
Thanks, Sobia, that's great. Hi everyone, my name's Adele and I'm one of the additional learning support managers at the college. So I would just like to talk to you a little bit about the supported learning department and give you a little bit of information from our side. The supported learning department is essentially divided into two strands. So we have a curriculum strand where we offer the Route 2 courses and the supported internship courses. And then we also have the additional learning support strand, where we provide support for students with EHCPs and also support within mainstream courses. So that would be your hair and beauty, your motor vehicle, your travel and tourism. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the additional learning support, but there are further sessions available on the 17th of July on Friday for both the curriculum aspect and also the additional learning support aspect. So if you do want some more information and you're free and you can pop onto the Couch to College, that would be brilliant. It'd be great to see you there as well. So firstly, I'd like to speak to you about the learning support that we can provide for students with education, health and care plans. So we provide that support across all campuses and across all courses. So that support is personalised and it's in line with your education, health and care plan. So it's really, and it looks very different for different individuals. So it can include a wide range of things. It can include in-class support if that's what you require and that's what you want. It can include key working. So this might be a one-to-one session with a support worker where they may work on some of your assignments with you. They might do some overlearning with you, whatever you need in that session. We also help to provide and develop your study skills. It might be that you need support with practical tasks in your lessons, or it might be that you need some support with your assignments, be it working with assignment briefs, breaking down assignment briefs. So I think the key thing to remember there is it's very individual. So at the start of the year, we would meet with you, you would meet a support worker. Hopefully, if you've worked with transition, we will have a lot of information. You will have passed over a lot of information already to your transition officer. And then we'll sit down with you and discuss how best to support you in that practical way. What works best with you? So we'll work with your personal learning plan. Again, you may have started to work on that already with your transition officers, and we'll liaise with your tutors about how best that works for you. So we really want to support you and to help you to achieve while you're with us at college, and to build your confidence, to develop your independence as you prepare for employment and adulthood. And we want to support you to be the best that you can be while you're with us so that you can reach your potential and really enjoy your time at college. So with the support, we would review that. So we would review that on a termly basis and would have a chat around what's working, what's not working, and if there's any changes to be made, we can look at how we can do that. Once a year, we will also help and facilitate your person-centred review. So that would be liaising with yourself as the student, with your families, with your tutors and your achievement tutors, and we would organise your person-centred review to review your education, health and care plan. So that's for students with education, health and care plans. We can also offer some support for students who don't have an EHCP, and we can do that in a number of ways. So we can meet with you again to discuss any barriers that you are facing with regards to your special educational needs. So what challenges you're facing, what you're finding difficult, and what we can do then is create a personal learning plan. So that we'll be discussing what works for you, what we can do to help, and then we will liaise with your tutors to see if there's any differentiation that can be applied in the classroom, different learning strategies, different ways of working. So we work with the curriculum teams as well to try and provide the best support that we can for you. So we also work with your achievement tutors, and we all work together. I think that's the message I want to get across really, is that we all work together to make sure you've got that support. Within our department, we also have some specialist staff who work in the dyslexia team. So that team, they work with students with specific learning difficulties, including dyslexia. So that team consists of specialist teachers, support workers, and they also link in with the assistive tech team as well, and I'll speak about those in a little while. So that team can offer a range of support really. They can offer screenings so that they can suggest strategies that might help you to learn in the classroom. They can create from that personal learning plans that would inform teachers around teaching strategies in the classroom. They can offer some small group support, so it might be coming together with a small group of students to work on study skills. And they also offer some drop-in sessions. So it might be that you are struggling with a particular part of your assignment or particular wording. So they can offer some drop-in sessions where you can take that and you can have some time with the staff in that team to work through that. A big part of the work that the dyslexia team do as well is applying for and assessing for exam access arrangements. So if any of you require extra time, for example, in your exams, or a reader or a scribe, then that team will work with your tutor around what your normal way of working is in the classroom, and then they will apply for those exam access arrangements for your exams. So a quick summary of our supported learning team is that we've got a great team. We have got lots of supported staff who really want to empower you to be the best that you can be. So we've got a range of staff. For example, we have communication support workers who will support deaf students by providing British Sign Language interpretation. We have SEND support practitioners who can offer the in-class support if that's what's required, or they may offer some key working. And we also have some assistive technologists within our team, so they can advise around any technology that might help you with your independent learning. So, for example, if it is difficult to read a large amount of text, there are technologies that they can show you that will help to, you know, read that text aloud for you, as an example. We also have some staff who work in our resource modification unit, and they will do various modifications for students on an individual basis. For example, if resources are needed to be translated into Braille, or if resources are font needs to be made larger to support students with a visual impairment, for example. So if I can just give you an overview of our department. So we are, as additional learning support managers, we work across campuses, but each campus will have an additional learning support manager who is responsible for the coordination of that support on that campus. So Andrew at the top, he is our director of SEND and learning support, and he has an overview. So then just a few faces, to introduce a few faces to start with. These will be the key people to start with for each campus. So myself, Adele Robinson, I'm responsible for St John's, the Seminary, Nichols, and also Harper Hay. Andy Armstrong is the additional learning support manager for Openshaw and Welcome Street. Jenny Bernard in the middle, she covers Sheena Simon, but Jenny also has an overview for the support that's provided for our students who have visual and hearing impairments. Jennifer Colville will provide coordination down in the south for our southern campuses, so Wythenshawe and Northern. And Tracy Melling is the additional learning support manager for the dyslexia team. So that's kind of an overview. We do have a big, great team, but these will be the key people that will provide that coordination over the campuses. So as a final summary, the move from school to college, it is a challenging, but it's an exciting time. And we will be here to support you. We want you to help you reach your goals, to enjoy your college experience, and we work across a number of departments. We liaise very closely with the other support departments, so we will ensure that you have that wraparound support that you need to enjoy your time at college. So if you have any other questions, please pop them in the box, or please do book on to our other sessions on July the 17th. I'll pass back over to Alison, who's got the exciting competition. So yeah, please get your entries in to Alison. Thank you.
Thanks, Adele. Hi, everyone, again. So the competition that we're going to launch now is called Tell Us About Your Lockdown Life. So obviously it's been a big part of everybody's life since March. We've all been in lockdown. People have found it harder than others. We've had to learn new ways of doing things. So what we thought, we'd have this really good competition to get you to think about what's happened to you while you've been in your lockdown life, how it's affected you. So this could be done, you could do some baking, you could produce some artwork, you could do something digital on the computer, you could do some hair and beauty, or a photography or a montage or something like that. So whatever it is that you're interested in, it could be linked to maybe something, your curriculum area that you want to go into in September. So you could take that in when you come in September and show it to them as well. So some of the things you could think about is maybe you've learned to get a bit fitter while you've been in lockdown. You've learned a new skill, or you've got a new hobby. You've had a special celebration. You've had to think of a way of how you've been able to manage that differently. I think lots and lots of people have had different birthdays and weddings and things like that while they've been in lockdown. How have you managed to do that differently? How have you managed to keep in touch with your family and friends? It could be a funny event that's happened to you while you've been in lockdown, or anything personal to you. So we've got quite a wide scope there. So just have a think about it. So the winner's going to get a £100 ASOS voucher, and we've got two £50 Runners Up vouchers, which are also ASOS vouchers. So the closing date for the entries is the 22nd of July, and this competition you'll also be able to see it on social media as well. So look out for it on Facebook and on Instagram. So the winner's going to be announced on the 24th of July, which gives you 2 weeks. So when you've done your entry, if you take a photograph of it and you send it to transitionteam@tmc.ac.uk. We'll then decide who the winner's going to be, and you'll be informed via email about who's won, and you'll hopefully get your prize sometime in September when we can get you back into college to pass on the prize to you. So good luck to everybody. Get your thinking caps on, and we'll get some really fantastic entries. So I'd just like to say to everybody, thank you for attending today. I hope you found it useful, and we're now going to open it up to questions and answers.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Alison. That was really, really helpful, and thank you to Sabaya and Adele as well. Right, so we've had quite a few questions come through, lots of different questions, different topics. So the first thing we'll start with is, will it always be the same person helping me? So I presume this is from some of the more general support. Maybe Sabaya, you might want to answer that one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll answer that. So your achievement tutor, they're allocated to your group, so you'll always have the same achievement tutor whilst you're on the course, because they are a bit, like I said in the presentation, they are a bit like your form teacher. So they will remain the same, but the mentors and the student practitioners, they're the same on the campuses as well, so they won't change. So you may come across different mentors or different student experience practitioners, but they will always be based on the same campus, and they'll all come and introduce themselves when they start. But we are very much campus based. So if you're at Northern, say, I will be there as the head of student support, and I will probably be the one who will come and see if there's anything that you want to discuss. So yeah, so it will be the same people, especially your achievement tutor.
Great, thank you.
Okay, a little bit more to that. Sorry, Christian. Yeah, so that's for the support outside the classroom. So if you've got a student that needs support inside the classroom. Sorry, Adele, did you want to add something to that? No. Sorry, no. So if you've got an educational healthcare plan and you get some support inside the classroom, then we do try to make sure that you get the same support all the time if that's possible. So we don't want you to have different member of staff supporting you every time you come into college. So we always do try to, where possible, to keep the same member of staff with you inside the classroom all the time. It could be 1 or 2 different members of staff, but we always try to keep it as consistent as possible.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next question is on a similar note. Seeing as I'm homeschooled, would I need extra help, or maybe is there extra help available for those that are homeschooled? Maybe, who wants to take that one?
I'll take that one. Hi, Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So again, when you start, when you join your course, we will have a look at how your schooling has been, and if you have been homeschooled, we can make sure that the additional support is there. So whether that's additional workshop sessions with your curriculum team, just to kind of make that transition from homeschooling to college. Your achievement tutor will monitor you throughout, so they'll always, when you have your one-to-one, if there's anything that you might not understand or you think I need a bit of support with, again, they can make the referrals to the additional learning support team or into the Hive, where we can do workshop sessions with you. Because the whole purpose of us as a support team and a transition team is to make sure that the start of your journey here at the Manchester College is really smooth. So we need to make sure that we put everything in place that we can. So I would say that your first port of call would be to speak to your achievement tutor, and then they can then make the referral to whether it's additional learning support or if it's something a little bit more general, maybe into the Hive to work on workshop sessions.
Great. Thank you. Okay. The next question is, if I was having an anxiety episode, who would I go to? Who's the best person for support with that kind of?
Okay, so I'll answer that one. So it is your student experience practitioners. They are our wellbeing. They are the wellbeing team as well, and they also deal with the safeguarding. So if there was anything like that, you could speak to them. And at my campus, if I talk about my campus, there's 3 of them, so you can go and speak to any one of them. When you start in September, you will get an introduction, so you'll know who you can speak to and a familiar face that you can go and speak to, and they would then be able to support you and help you. So it would be the student experience support practitioners.
Great, thank you. And I think I've got another
sorry,
one.
Christian, could I add a bit to that one again?
Sure, yeah, of course.
So yeah, just add a little bit to that. So if we're aware beforehand, somebody from the transition team has been working with a young person and we're aware they might have some difficulty with anxiety and things like that, we will make sure that we put that in the support plan so that the staff working with the young person before they start in September will be aware that they might sometimes have a panic attack or an anxiety attack, and they might need some time out of that classroom. So it could be that they will be aware of that beforehand. So whether it's if they've got support in the class, they might be able to go to the SEND support practitioner who could maybe go outside the classroom with them for a few minutes, find a quiet space to talk to them just while they sort of overcome the difficulties and feel that they're able to go back inside the classroom. But if we're aware of that beforehand, then we can ensure that the staff working with that young person, whether it's an achievement tutor, a mentor, or tutor, SEND support practitioner, that might be a possibility. They might have these anxiety attacks and they might need to take some time out of the classroom. Okay. Just so it's not made such a big issue then when they need to leave the room.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Next couple of questions we've had actually are all sort of about the first day. How will I know where to go on my first day? What will I be doing? And will I be able to meet lots of different people from different courses as well as my own? Who wants to take that one?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I think this year is going to be quite different to other years. So obviously, because we're still sort of in COVID and with needing to keep restrictions the college is still keeping to the 2 metre distance, there's probably a few strands to that question. So on your first day, when you actually physically come into the campus, we don't want anybody to be worried because there'll be lots of members of staff there to meet and greet at the entrance when you come in. There'll be support staff, there'll be tutors, there'll be achievement tutors. So be from the student experience team, they'll be there. So what they do is they'll be there to meet and greet the students at the door. Some students might need that support to sort of somebody to walk with them to the classroom on the first day, just so they know exactly where they've got to go. Others might just be able to be directed to your classrooms just down the corridor or your classrooms up onto the first floor. So it depends on that individual really, but when you walk through the door in September, it won't be a case of that you don't know where to go and you're going to be wandering around. And where it's different from school to college is that you'll be based in one classroom. So in school, you might have to go to 5 or 6 different rooms for different subjects. In the college, you'll only need to go to your core room unless you have to do your maths and your English as well. So there'll be lots of people there on the first weeks, the first months to direct you to where you need to go in September.
Okay, fantastic. Next question is about timetables. When will I get my timetable? I don't know if that's one any of you can answer. Yeah.
We could try and answer that, Christian.
Yeah.
We're at the moment where the timetables are being created, and like Alison just said, given that with COVID, there is some changes that we have to make sure everybody's safe whilst they're on campus. So when you enrol, when you get your pack, that's when you'll receive your timetable as well. But you know, you'll definitely get it when you start, either whether it's your first day or when you get your enrolment pack. But we are still on with it, and like Alison said, with the changes because of COVID, we just need to make sure that everything is in place to support you correctly.
Fantastic. Okay, we've got a couple of questions here about breaks. Is there a quiet space for me to go during break? And then there's another question on a similar note. When we're not in lessons, are we allowed to leave the campus? I suppose that's kind of similar areas.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
No, go on, Sylvia, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'll answer the second part, Adele, and if you answer the first part in relation to the quiet room or a quiet space. In relation to breaks at the moment, normally I would say if we were having a normal academic year, then yes, if you've got sufficient time to leave the campus, yes, you can. But you would have to manage your time. If you're on a 15-minute break, then you wouldn't necessarily get time to go out of the campus. But given where we are with COVID, things will be different for you guys, and I think that's it's probably quite important to think about that. So it may not necessarily be the way that you have been used to in school, or you've seen if you've got older siblings or relatives or friends who've been to college, their experience may be a little bit different with all the social distancing and such things. You might feel, okay, it's not necessarily the way I expected, but that is because of COVID. So what I would say is, depending on the time that you have, that can then kind of dictate whether you can kind of leave campus or not. And I'll pass you to Adele to answer the quiet room.
Thanks, Sylvia. With regards to the quiet rooms, obviously each campus is very different, but what we would do, if that is something that you need, then we would work with you and the other support departments and your tutor around identifying that space for you. So it's very different on different campuses. So if for example, if I use Harper Hay as an example, we have the MES, we call it, which is a separate smaller space where the student experience team are based, and we've identified that as a space where people can go if they need a quiet space. So it would be very different on each campus, but we would work with you to find that space that works for you, that you know where it is and you know how to access that.
Great. Thank you. And Sabaya, just on your first point, we just had a follow-up question. When we have a free period, where do we go and what can we do? I guess that's follow-up to what we just discussed. Yeah,
so I think with your timetables, there's possibly not going to be that flexibility of a lot of free time where you will be on campus, especially, I guess, within the first half term. Whilst we're still figuring out what's happening with the COVID and what the government guidelines are, because we do have a duty of care to all of you, and we need to ensure that we put those in place. So you'll probably find that your timetable may not be, maybe a bit lighter, so you're not on campus as much. There may be a bit of a mixed model where you're doing some delivery online, and you'll be doing some at campus face-to-face. So especially for the first 6 weeks, I can't imagine there'll be gaps where you would have that time to just kind of be on campus. But in a normal situation, you would have the canteen and you'd have the library and other social spaces. But given where we are with COVID, I think we've just got to be a little bit flexible with that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Again, another one about first day. I think this will be the last one. But is there any equipment that I need to bring for my first day and throughout my time at college? I suppose again that'll probably depend on what course you're doing and when you're starting.
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on the course that you're enrolled, when you get your enrolment pack, it'll tell you if there is a kit or if there is a requirement for certain, if it's a practical session, what you will need. But you'll get that in your enrolment pack. the stationery element will always be there. You'll always need your books, your pens, your pencils and such things, but anything that might be specialist or sector specific, that'll be in your enrolment pack.
Okay, great. Question here about who do I contact if I'm not well?
Kids. So I'll answer that question. So on your first day, when you meet your achievement tutor, they will give you their work mobile phone number as well as their landline, and you can call that and report your absences through to them. And then you'll also be given the central staff room numbers where you can report absences through. So that's how we would do. But it's really important that when your achievement tutors do share that information, you do make note of their telephone numbers, because it is really, really paramount that you do contact if you're not going to be in.
Okay. And we've talked a bit about enrolment packs. Just a question on when they can expect to receive them, roughly, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, so that would be after towards the back end of August, once the grades from GCSEs and such things have come through, you'll then get the curriculum teams will contact you directly, and that's when you'll receive your packs. So it's usually, I think, the last week and a half of August, so you should have your information by then. But again, just be mindful that it would be a little bit different because of COVID. You may not necessarily get everything, and you may not be expected to come in. They may do it online, they may just send you a pack in the post. So just be mindful that we've had to adapt because of COVID.
Okay, great. Right, so I've got a question here about support for autism and what support is available. I don't know who wants to pick that one up.
I can pick this one up, Christian.
Thank you, great.
Hi, so the support for students with autism, again, it would be very similar and it would be very individual. So again, we would meet with you as an individual and discuss your barriers or your what works for you. So again, we could do that if from our department, if it's requiring in-class support with a student with EHCP. If you don't have an EHCP, that process is generally the same about meeting with you, and it's about you as an individual and how college life and teaching affects you. So it's very much on an individual basis. We will sit down with you and try and work out some strategies that will work for you to make sure that you can access the course and that you can get the support that you need.
Okay, thank you. There's a question here about I have an EHCP card. How will I get support if I'm doing online virtual lessons at home?
I'll take that one as well. Thanks, Christian. So if you, obviously we're in a very different situation at the moment, and we are looking at what effective support will look like for students with EHCPs. So we are looking, we've during this last period, we've looked at a number of different ways of providing remote support. Sometimes we've used Teams and that's worked very effectively. Sometimes we've used Skype or assignments being emailed. So it's been very varied, and there's a lot of factors to consider. So again, it will be on an individual basis. We'll look at what department and what curriculum offer that you are studying, and what support that you need and how we can best do that with your support needs. So it'll be a very individual basis. Okay,
and I think a kind of follow-up question to that: how would I book onto supported learning sessions?
So the supported learning sessions, they will it will be the same system as booking onto this session for the Couch to College, if that's what you mean. With regards to the support sessions, if it's the general that I mentioned earlier about the study skills sessions, depending on which campus that you were on, we would advertise these. We would advertise the drop-in sessions. Again, it may look a bit different this year initially because of the COVID situation. We might have to look at a booking situation where we needed to limit numbers, or that we knew who was arriving at those study skills sessions. But all that information will be given to you, and we'll work through your achievement tutors to let you know what support is available and how you can book on that.
Okay, thanks. And again, possibly on a similar note, how do I get a transition officer is one of the questions.
Do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah, great. Okay.
So if you've not already worked with myself, Lloyd or Helen or Nasmin, if you contact our dedicated email inbox, which is transitionteam@tmc.ac.uk, send us a little bit of information, a quick email about the support that you might need, and then one of us will then make contact with you and pick it up. We're based, we're linked to schools and local authorities, so whichever one of us, whichever school you go to, whichever local authority you come under, it'll be either myself, Helen or Lloyd that will make contact with you, and then we can discuss how we can support you. Even though we're in July now, we all work all year round, so where schools are finishing now and won't be back until September, the transition team will be available all through the summer. So even if it's just a conversation on the phone, or we can do some support to help you gather some information towards your support plan for September. So that's the email you need, the one that's on the screen now, transitionteam@tmc.ac.uk. Okay,
fantastic. Just going back to a previous question, I think it was someone's missed this one, but how do we? Well, is there an opportunity to meet students from other courses, and when can that happen?
Yeah. I think again that was slightly different because of COVID. Ordinarily we would have said yes. When you're in your lunches and your breaks, if you're on animal care and you've got a friend that's on hair and beauty and you're on break, then you're more than welcome to mix with sort of your friends and meet up with them at lunch and break time and things. Due to COVID this year, that might look slightly different, as Toby's mentioned quite a few times. You'll have you looking at a blended timetable, so you'll only be in college on them actual times that you're in class. So whereas the lunch and breaks before you would have had a chance to meet up with your friends, it'll look different because when you're not actually in college, then you'll be requested to go home. So just to keep the amount of people that are supposed to be on the campus at any one time to a minimum because of COVID, that ordinarily you might have had a break and you're like, well, hang on for my friend because they finish in half an hour and then we'll have some time together. Up until probably the first half term or term, that's probably not going to be likely this year. But it doesn't mean it's going to be like that for the whole of the year. But just for the moment, with everything that's going on and keeping social distancing and the amount of people on campus at any one time, it's unlikely that you'll be able to spend time with your friends off other courses at the moment.
Great, thanks, Alison. Next question is, how small or big are classes? Would it be overwhelming, the amount of students that I'd see on my first day?
Okay, do you want me to answer that one as well? I think, again, ordinarily, for some people, it might be quite overwhelming on the first day, but this is where the transition team will come in and do some work with them before. Because at the moment, for the first at least half term or term, we're looking at blended learning. So you could enrol on, say, hair and beauty, and 20 people could have enrolled on your course. But because we're trying to keep the social distancing and the amount of people that will be coming in at any one time, it could be that out of that 20 people, there might only be 10 people in the class. So it'll look and feel very different to how it would have done in previous years for at least the first half term or term, which will be a good way of easing people into coming into college and that transition from school to college in sort of September, October, but it'll look and feel a lot different than it would have done maybe last year or the year before.
Yeah. Okay, great. There's a different one here. We might need to follow this one up, but can you explain to me how I'd go about getting accommodation for 16 to 18-year-olds? I'm not sure the context on that, but is there accommodation options for 16 to 18-year-olds?
I think that's probably something the guidance team will be able to answer rather than any of us, unless someone wants to step in.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. I believe there's a separate session on them from that team that will be able to help with that. So if you go to the tmc.ac.uk website, and then obviously if you find that session on there, they should be able to help on with that question more specifically. Or if you can email inquiries@tmc.ac.uk, and they will definitely be able to find the right person and answer that question for you. Okay, so the next question is about student ambassadors. Do we have them, and how can I become a student ambassador?
Okay, so I'll answer that one. So we do have student ambassadors, currently. They normally help with open evenings, events at college, representing the college externally. So when you start in September, your achievement tutor will tell you how to apply for it, and then they can guide you through the process. So that'll be done during your induction period at the college, so the first 2 or 3 weeks when you start in September.
Okay, great. And a follow-up to that a little bit is what clubs do you have? I'm guessing that's more like the students' union.
Yeah,